If you like big knives, you're gonna like this Sharp Saturday video. Today we're gonna be taking a look at a knife from Boker Arbolito down in Argentina. It's the El Gigante. That's what's coming up next here on Survival on Purpose. Welcome back to Survival on Purpose, your home for trustworthy information and gear reviews related to camping, survival, and general preparedness for regular folks. My name's Brian. Thanks for joining me here on another Sharp Saturday video, where every Saturday we take a look at something sharp. So today, as I said, the folks at Boker were kind enough to send me one of their Arbolito division knives, and they have a plant in Argentina. If you're not familiar with Boker, they started selling Germany like, I don't know, in like the 1600s or 1500s or something. They just got a really good reputation in the knife industry for making some really high quality knives and tools, and this is no exception in my opinion. This is made in Argentina. It is the Boker El Gigante, as I said, and I gotta say right off the bat, you know I like this knife already. Without any testing, I like this knife. So I'm pretty confident it's going to hold up, because everything I've seen from Boker has been really very, very well made and strong. But man, it is really pretty. And it's big too. So instead of me just rambling on here, let me take you down to the old stump top, and we'll get started doing some of that knife stuff. Okay, so here we are at the old stump top with the Boker Arbolito El Gigante. And let me just take it out of the sheath. So, and it's got a really nice leather sheath, by the way. Let's talk about the specs of this thing. The El Gigante features a 9 1/4 inch by 1/4 inch thick blade of stone-washed Bowler N695 steel with ebony handle scales. It's a 14.5 inch overall length and weighs 15.87 ounces, so almost a full pound of knife. This one has ebony handle scales with some really thin, very cool red liners. And then if you can notice this thing, it has a tapered tang, which helps relieve a little of the weight here, gives it a little style, certainly adds some manufacturing cost to it, but it also, they say it helps with the balance. We're gonna find out. Also has a stainless steel handguard, which is pretty cool. And then the Bowler El Gigante sheath is this really cool embossed leather. Beautiful. And it has this nice cool button through snap system. If you look on the back side of it, there is a dangler attachment that is removable. You remove these two snaps here and just slide this out. This dangler comes off if you want a standard belt sheath. And it has a little loop down here to tie a leg lanyard on. Something else that's really cool is all these snaps have felt backings in there. So very nice sheath in my opinion. Anyway, that is the specs of this thing. So why don't we get to doing some knife stuff? This knife, by the way, is about a $229 list price knife, and it's about 172 bucks or so on Blade HQ. So I got a piece of cedar here, which is really hard. I thought we'd try to it's a big old knife. Let's see if we can do a little chopping. It's kind of a full flat grind, by the way, with a secondary bevel, and this is a big kind of a, I don't know, a Bowie looking knife to me. It looks really good. It feels really cool in your hands. And it's, man, you know I like big knives anyway, so my stick's got dirt on it. So let's just see if we can chop a little bit on this, first let's just see what kind of edge it's got on it from the factory, because it's got a big old edge. We're going to do the redneck knife test and just see. Not really quite shaving sharp. So we'll see how well it works on some actual wood. So let's do a little chopping here first. Man, it's some hard wood. If you notice, I'm trying to be really careful. I've got a couple of cuts on my hands already. I really don't want to lose a finger. Let's see if this is enough to break. And it was. So that's really all you need to do. And the edge, it's none the worse for wear. So just a little batoning here, because you know I always like to do that. This is a big blade, not such a big piece of wood, but I think that's a fair test because this is rock hard stuff. Let me find my baton. Okay, so here's my little baton I've been using. Like again, I know this is not super big, but it's definitely super hard. So, and if you wouldn't baton this knife, then when you buy it, you don't have to. But we're going to do my standard test, and man, it's hard. This is freaking hard wood. And if it breaks, well then it breaks. It shouldn't. It's 1/4 inch thick. Golly. Man, this thing is really like rattling on my hand. It's hitting it so hard. So once it got started though, it went on in pretty good. So that's some sinking hard stuff. Look at the little knots in there. A couple little knots there. Nothing big, but still that could destroy a lesser edge. And this edge so far, no rolls or anything like that. We'll make this. Man, still knots. There's a little bit of a knot there. Let's see. Which means it's going to be tougher to make a feather with this thing because knots and feathers don't mix. Man, oh man, but it is so pretty. It rained like a cow peeing on a flat rock here yesterday. And actually the day before yesterday. Yesterday it rained a little bit. But not as much as it did the day before. But so I like to make feathers out of cedar because it smells so good when it burns, to be honest with you, and they're pretty. But this is pretty fibrous wood, so it's not necessarily the best for feathers. But this is a big old knife, and so far the edge looks still just fine. And man, the mosquitoes are out. I got to crank up the old thermocell soon. So let's just see what we got here with some feathers. Okay, once I got some little bevels going, it's making some really nice little feathers. So we're going to call that. And it's, look, it's a big knife to be doing that kind of work with because it's a pound. It's a full pound of steel here. So we'll set that to the side and go ahead and grab the old fat wood here. Because, you know, I like me some fat wood, and maybe some fat wood will get rid of the mosquitoes. We're going to try to carve a little fat wood too, just see how it carves fat wood. And a little bit there. Let's see if it scrapes. It really doesn't have a super sharp spine. I'm not really sure it's going to scrape very well at all, but let's just see. Yeah, not at all. Not at all. But we can carve a little more fat wood then. Okay, well, we'll call that good. So it didn't scrape the fat wood at all. I doubt if it's going to scrape a ferro rod. Just doesn't have an edge on it. It's not a sharp spine at all. Let's just see something here. Yeah, it's not even close to sharp. So, but I did a little prep. Might as well try to get a little fire going here, right? Let's just see. Man, I'm trying to not bang my thumb, which is extremely sore right now. I about cut the end of it off with my Emerson folding knife the other day, and it's still really sore. Striker ain't doing me real good either here. Who knows what the Boy Scout motto is? Okay, there we go. I guess we'll call that the real world testing, but you know we like to get all scientific here at Survival on Purpose, right? Okay, so that was some of the real world testing for the Boker Arbolito El Gigante knife. And okay on chopping. It's a pretty heavy knife, and I think this kind of seems to be the sweet spot for chopping right there. And then did okay on the carving once I got kind of used to the angle. There's no spine on this thing, just no sharp spine on it anyway. But it's thick, it's just not sharp. So I guess you could file that if you wanted to. But altogether, you know, I like the knife just because it's a big, pretty knife, and it does that knife stuff pretty well. And I guess you could choke up on it here if you had to do some fine tasks. But it's more just an all-around big old Bowie knife. But anyway, I'm rambling again. As you know, here at Survival on Purpose Worldwide headquarters, we maintain a state-of-the-art scientific knife testing facility, and they say that this tapered tang helps add balance to the knife. I always like to test the balance of the knife on our balance, orientation, and rotation device right there. So we're going to give this one a whirl, so to speak. So let's do it right now. I like that right out of the gate. We bang the heck out of it. But seems to be no worse for the wear. Let's try again. Okay, well, we're going to call this some balance. And that was a hopefully interesting look at the Boker Arbolito El Gigante big old Bowie knife. And you know I like this one, right? And it's not really a bushcraft knife. I think it has a pretty good edge on it from the factory. You could certainly use a little bit of cleaning up, but for general purpose edge, it's really good. And it appears to be really well balanced, and it is exceptionally beautiful. So if you're interested in checking this out further, I'll put a link in the video description below. Best price I found, I think, was on Blade HQ, but really nice knife, really well made, and I hope you've enjoyed this video. Once again, thanks to the folks at Boker for sending me this so I could show it to you, and as always, thank you for watching Survival on Purpose. I put out a brand new video every Friday and every Saturday, and sometimes random videos throughout the week. If you want to make sure you don't miss a single one, I invite you to go to right down here, survivalonpurpose.com/subscribe. Sign up for my weekly email newsletter, and you won't miss a single video. I really appreciate your support. Once again, my name's Brian. You're watching Survival on Purpose. Remember, survival's not an accident, so be prepared. Got to do something about these mosquitoes. I'll see you next time.